I'll just be filling out the headline. We'll talk about headlines in the beginning.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah. Threat, Bilderberg sends it.
Hallo, ich hoffe, der Stream ist jetzt online. Sonst fangen wir vielleicht später nochmal an, aber es geht ja nie ohne Komplikationen hier, wenn man einen Google Hangout macht. Ich muss jetzt leider auf Englisch wechseln, weil ich habe hier einen englischen Gast und ich hoffe, wir bekommen jetzt mehr internationales Publikum und die kein Englisch können, haben jetzt halt leider Pech gehabt. Ob ein Untertitel kommen wird, ist eher fraglich. Ich glaube, das ist zu viel Arbeit. Wir haben hier einen ganz speziellen Gast, denn wir haben einen Mitarbeiter von Alex Jones, den ich schon letztes Jahr kennenlernen durfte. Sein Name ist Rob Dew. Hello, Rob.
I know what that last part meant.
Well,
your name is Rob Dew.
Yeah, sure.
His name is Rob Dew, I guess.
Your English has really improved now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know a lot of words now, like Schnippelhoffen.
Schnippelhoffen.
Yeah.
That was a big one.
Oh, yeah, man. I mean, maybe I disappoint you, that's not really a word, but... yeah.
And then Beinzenhufenglaff?
That's also another word. That's something we made up for you. Very good to have you here. Of course, we saw each other last year when I confronted this Bilderberg guy. So you've been very nice to me, bought me a lot of stuff.
Well, you did a good job, and what the great thing was after you confronted Francois Burnaby, what was his name? Franco Burnaby. We were sitting there putting the video together, and then we see Schneibel, what was his name?
Scholten, head of the Austrian National Bank.
Exactly, and then Oscar Bronner, a publisher of their Standard, yes.
Yeah.
And so I went after Bronner. You, as a media guy, I go after the media guy, and you went after the banker. So we got double exposure right there.
Yeah.
Three confrontations out of one.
Yeah, which sure.
is good, especially with these guys. They don't like to talk. They didn't want to talk to us, and they didn't like the fact. And remember the other guy that was with them? It was the big tall guy.
It was three guys.
Yeah. He was like an enforcer, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
He didn't like. He was just. I think he was mad that we weren't asking him questions.
There was another guy who was called Sevelda.
He's the real tall guy.
That's what him, but he's also a Bilderberg member, I guess. They are Austrian, so I don't know why they go to the airport. They're Austrians, can't be this far away.
Probably flying to Vienna, because we were in Telfs, which is on the
it's far away there.
Yeah, in Tyrol. Nice place, though, I tell you.
Yeah, it's more.
And then after that, we went to the Interalpen Hotel and got kicked out by the bald gay policeman.
Yeah, that was a
thing. He looked like he was in a music video. He had the horrible
pants. We called them faggot pants.
Faggot pants, exactly. And he showed us his badge. Look who I am. I'm like, I don't care. Yeah. I've been dealing with your kind the entire time. They're wearing uniforms, and they look a little more imposing than you.
Yeah, he was watching us probably the whole day. So then we went, to your hotel, and then we made the show.
Right.
And it was really one of the greatest days of my life.
Oh,
this was awesome.
That's awesome.
Like what happened? We were sitting there editing the best material.
Yeah.
At the airport, then these guys come in perfect.
And that's the key, is being prepared. Yes. And we grabbed our phones and immediately went after them. And there wasn't even hesitation. It was we're going after them. We're going to get them. We're going to get the material, because that's why we're here. We're not here to screw around. We're here to ask these globalists why they're having their special private meeting with no press and no discourse, no public discourse.
Yeah.
200 people, the most powerful people in the world, are getting together. Why can't we find out what they're talking about? What's the problem? Especially when right now it's your tax dollars are paying for these guys to traipse around this 5-star hotel, which incidentally we have a cobweb up there. I guess they left that for me. That was that's part of the 5-star experience, is having a cobweb up on your up on the lamppost, and and they sent the threatening letter. I've been a guest here for 2 days, and then they sent a letter. You better be out by noon. We don't want you. Yeah, read it to the people at home.
Wir möchten Sie darüber informieren, dass aufgrund einer Veranstaltung unser Hotel am Mittwoch, den 8.6.2016, exklusiv gebucht ist. So, who is exclusively booked? What does that mean? I'm not sure.
It's not for a wedding.
Yeah.
I can tell you that.
An diesem Tag bitten wir Sie, das Hotelzimmer sowie die Tiefgarage bis spätestens 12 Uhr zu verlassen, da diese ebenfalls exklusiv angemietet wurde. Nach diesem Zeitpunkt ist eine Ausfahrt leider nicht mehr möglich. Vorab möchten wir Ihnen gerne für Ihr Verständnis danken. Bei Fragen stehen Ihnen alle Kollegen der Rezeption ja zur Verfügung. So the last question, the last sentence is also good. They say the guys at the reception, they like to answer your questions.
Oh,
wrong.
Oh,
wrong.
Well, you don't think they'll answer them though?
No,
Why do we have to leave by noon?
I asked them. So I asked them what is happening.
We're gonna have to ask them again
the next day.
What cameras
they
were
weren't this happy to answer my question, and then the hotel manager came and said I have to leave this building. So it's really
the laws are different here than they are in the United States, where we have, you know, the First Amendment that protects people and the Second Amendment. Because when we were in Munich, we went to a migrant camp, housed about 800 people, and all we did was get out of a car with cameras and asked a couple of guys from Afghanistan if they like Germany and you know, what do they think of everything, and I got 2 questions out, and then we got bum rushed by 5 or 6 of these guys wearing blue shirts. You can go check out the video on the Alex Jones channel, and getting in our face, grabbing us, grabbing our cameras, very aggressive. And I imagine they were probably in the last wave of migrants, so they had been a little schooled in how to handle the new migrants coming in. So then it's like, oh, now you're in charge, you get unlimited power, you get to tell people, treat them like you want to, you know. So it's this whole little petty power play. And right now, while we're doing this, we're also multitasking. I'm uploading the video. Bilderberg sends threatening eviction letter to reporters.
Yeah, it's really
and
true.
it was basically threatening, right? You even pointed that out.
That sounds very threatening. They tried to make it polite, but it didn't seem. It seemed very threatening. It's like they say you have to leave the hotel, but until 12? But it's not possible to leave after 12. I mean, that sounds like a natural law or something.
I can't wait to hear their explanation on what happens if I leave at 12:01.
Yeah, it won't be possible. You will disappear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, Rob,
how many people are watching now?
How many people are watching?
19.
All right.
Oh wow!
That's a full room.
But I gotta say, we would have, at least if we announce it, we would have like 100 at least. Yeah. And you know it's very late, so.
But we have some.
What's today? Tuesday?
Yeah, everyone has to work.
People gotta work. Yeah.
So. Don't get confused. You're speaking with the elite of InfoWarriors in Germany.
but and good thing is you save this, and other people can just go out and watch it later.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So this is like a Google Hangout. It's the perfect way.
Yeah.
So what are your experiences in Germany? I mean, you just visited a migrant camp, which I never did. I mean, you just hear about this in the news. Is it really the conditions? Are they this bad, or?
Well, we didn't get to go inside. What I've noticed is that Germans are very organized people. So you know, they have just like your language is very organized, and the way you know, like to describe your great grandmother is like gross grandmother, you know, it's very long words to describe simple things.
Yeah,
like
sure.
A tractor is a lot.
Yeah, sure.
So the way you guys have organized the migrants coming in is you've taken old buildings and repurposed them, and it doesn't look like a migrant camp like what you see in Calais, which is like tarps and tents and shacks and built on a long, you know, field.
Yeah.
What you have in Munich, we went to 3 different places. They were all buildings. They all had just regular buildings, and we drove by 2 of them, and there was nobody there. We met Michael, I'm going to butcher his last name, from the German Freedom Party.
AfD? You mean AfD? Is this like
it's not AfD. He's different. When you told me about them, I started looking up stuff on YouTube, and I came across Michael. I can't remember his name. It's student.
Oh man!
Here, I have it on here, and we'll. I'll pull it up here in 1 second. As soon as okay, this has been uploaded, so I go to YouTube. But anyway, we met him, and he met us in the train station in Munich. He said there was no migrants here because all the borders have been closed in the surrounding countries. So it's hard to get the migrants into Germany, which Germany desperately wants to import migrants. They're not importing cars or jobs; it's migrants. And so what he was able to do, so then he said, "Well, I have a list here," and he had a list. It was a front and a back page of different areas. He had different addresses and had the number of migrants in each address. Oh. So he goes, let's go to the big one first. So we went to one with 800. And it was a building. It looked like it could have been any building. It didn't look like anything. But there was nobody out front. Then we went to another location. Nobody there. The third location we went to, it was near I believe a Samsung or Siemens or Samsung office park. I think it was Samsung. And it was a building, and then it had a big fence in front of it. And so they had blocked off the road and put this fence up, and there was a bunch of dumpsters there. And then also after the dumpsters, it was a bunch of bikes. And you can see all this in the video. And so we're sitting there, what should we do? I said, well, let's just get out with our cameras and go talk to people. Let's see what happens. Because there were some people milling around out front, hanging out. So we walk up. Two guys are walking from the opposite direction. They're walking in. Hey, guys, how's it going? Do you speak English? A little. Where are you from? Afghanistan. Oh, Afghanistan. These guys look like, when you think of a migrant, you think of either a woman or a family. These guys were probably younger than me. Yeah. Probably your age. Yeah. Or younger. Probably, early 20s, late teens. Fighting age men, as we like to say. And so I got where they're from. I said, how do you like it here? And they said it's good. And then we turn around. I turn around, and there's 6 guys rushing us. So we really didn't get to see what the conditions were inside the camp. We did see kids playing around out there. And then we went to Newmarket. Am I saying that correctly?
Neumarkt.
Something like that. Neumarkt. And we went there. And because we got an address from a guy, Nicky Anderson, by the way, if you happen to be watching. It was Nicky Anderson who sent me that. And I'm glad. A lot of this information we're getting is from tips. I put out a video saying, hey, we're coming to Germany. We're looking for migrant camps. Send us your tips. Let us know where these places are. I had people from almost every major city offer to host us, take us around, show us things, which is great. That's how you get stuff done. And that's how it's the HUMAT, it's the human intelligence is what makes it all possible. So we get there to this new place, and it's small. It's just a little house, 3-story house, and then behind it there's another house, and there's some guys just sitting in the back, but the same fencing that we saw with the same name on the fencing, which I forget the name of it, but it was in the back. So we're like, oh, this is it. But you would never know it was a migrant camp if you had just been driving by really quickly. They have a ton of bikes. They seem to be getting a lot of bike donations.
So aren't we Germans great? I mean,
you provide everything.
We like to do everything proper.
So nice to him. Yeah. So Michael Stutzenberger. That's his name. German Freedom Party. He was the keynote speaker yesterday at the rally that they held.
What's the German Freedom Party? They
don't even have a website, but he calls himself the German Freedom Party, and they're very small. But what he says is he's very outspoken.
Ist es der aus München, der Typ, der immer da am Marktplatz? Of course. Yeah.
And so he goes, we're a little more aggressive than the other groups, because he mentioned, is it AFD? The other, He said they're a political party, and they have people in office, and they're like 10-15% of the your Congress or whatever. So he said they can't be as aggressive as I am. Yeah. So what he was fighting in Munich was a giant. Saudi Arabia wants to build the biggest mosque in Germany. And so he was going around getting signatures to put it on the ballot to let the people vote on it. And he said Germany's very liberal; they'd probably vote for it, but at least let's get it on the ballot, get a vote out there. And the city council didn't want to vote on it. They're dragging their feet, so they have enough signatures for a vote, but yet no vote's taking place because they're dragging their feet and they just don't want to do it. He claims they could be getting paid off, and that Saudi Arabia is also, they send doctors, they send a lot of rich people into Germany as well to do things. They're buying property, whatnot, and so by doing that, they're buying influence into the council.
Sure.
And so now they want to put up this mosque, and they want to. The city council wants to show they're multicultural and they're not racist. So they're going to say, yes, you build the biggest mosque here. What's that going to bring? More people of the Muslim faith to that area, which is what the Muslims want to do. They want to essentially invade other countries via migration.
Yeah, sure.
And then have more kids and envelop the population. And there's people, even Germans have come out for this. People have come out and said, well, we have a falling birth rate because you've been conditioned to think, or taxed to the hilt so much where you can't afford to have kids, or if you do, you're lower standard of living. But you've been told, children are bad for the earth. We get the same thing in the United States, but here it's been going on longer. So it's several generations in where people are like, well, we're just going to have one child. Because we want to have one child and take really good care of him and spoil him and treat him like a little flower, so he grows up to think Bernie Sanders is cool and socialism's great.
Yeah, and the sad thing is the German audience, they always clap. This is like when you see this on television, like there was the girl, like she's like a major Muslim in Germany. She like published a book for kids that taught them about the Quran, so she likes to indoctrinate young kids. So she is on TV, she has like the thing on top of her head, so she's covered, and I don't even know the word, hijab, I guess, and she says,
a beekeeper suit.
Okay.
Beekeeper.
Yeah. So she says, I mean, it's good that Muslims will be in the majority soon.
It's good that I get stoned to death. Yeah. So because they don't want to be racist.
Yeah,
they don't want to be racist.
Sure.
And it's good that women are second-class citizens, because what have we been telling people? Everybody's equal.
Yeah.
Well, when the Muslims take control, which they will do, they will institute Sharia law, and the only way they can do that is by numbers, sheer force, because people aren't going to vote for these things when they're the minority, so they have to become the majority.
Sure.
And that's not racist saying that. It's not neo-Nazi saying that. It's not being fascist saying that. It's the truth. And if their countries were so great and their laws were so great, people would be going to their countries.
Sure.
Okay, people would be migrating to their countries. Why is it that their people are leaving their countries? Because they suck. And that's just a quick way of saying it, and a down and dirty country boy way of saying they don't have good countries, period. They don't have women's rights, they don't have freedom, they don't have the First Amendment, the freedom of the press, which you don't even have here. You don't have it in Austria. We were there last year and we saw how they treated journalists there. They treated journalists like trash. And because they don't want the light to be shown on what they're doing, their activities. And I'm speaking about the elites, and the elites of these countries are the problem, and they're the ones who are instituting these policies to bring Muslims in. And it's not because they care about Muslims. They want to change the face of your country, period.
Yeah, that's definitely true, and this is just the beginning. I heard that Saudi Arabia wants to finance 200 mosques in Germany. So like you said, this is their tactic. Erdogan came out, like the Turkish president, and said, the mosques, they are like military buildings for us. This is just invading your country. This is a way like Trotsky or like other people try to invade other countries, by subversion, not just by military conquest. I mean, Islam did this in the sixth.
The communists did it with beat poetry houses. So
they
would get together, but not nearly as organized. Obviously.
But that's what a mosque is. I mean, this is really some.
And it's a totalitarian society. It's it's a society where. You stone women to death. If they get raped, they get stoned to death.
Yeah.
Now, does that sound liberal? Does that sound like freedom? You get raped and then you get killed for getting raped. Is that what you want in your country? Because that is what is coming to your country. It's coming to the United States. If you go to Dearborn, Michigan, Muslims are the majority. They're on the city council. And you know what? I don't have anything against Muslims personally, but
if you keep it private.
Exactly. Practice your faith. All you want. I went and interviewed Louis Farrakhan. I sat in his house and had a 3-hour dinner with Louis Farrakhan. But
I don't like this guy either. Let's be honest.
And you could, and you know what? You don't have to like him. That's totally your business. And But the reason people like Louis Farrakhan are in existence is because black people were getting treated a certain way, and he started speaking out about it. And when you treat people differently, different levels, then you get stuff like you get pushback. But when you treat people equally, when everybody gets treated equal, including women, I don't have a problem treating Muslims equal, but I'm not going to bend to your laws that are anti-freedom.
Sure.
And that's how you have to have a strong hand by doing that.
Sure, and they always like peaceful until they in the majority.
We're religion and peace.
Really religion and peace. But when we have a democracy, so when you're in the majority, you will vote for Sharia. I mean, you can see like the polls in these countries, and you see like there's like 91% in Iraq of the people are for the Sharia. Yeah. So they might not be as radical on the front, but they then say, "Oh, I like the Sharia." So it's like really a really dangerous religion.
And what we're doing is pretty subversive right now in your country. You might get arrested for what we're talking about.
I mean, I was actually sued, but this is like another topic. Maybe we talk about this later. But we are in free speech mode now, so I guess when you mention Farrakhan, who is this guy? I mean, why is it, I don't really get this. This is like he calls it like Nation of Islam. Is he really an Islamist, or is this like a Black Power movement?
Well, I think it's a combination of both. What you had in the 60s and 70s, and even the 50s. So, you had slavery in America. You had slavery here. You have slavery all over the world. You still have slavery in a lot of these Muslim countries that you say are so free and that we need to be friends with. But so the United States, things changed. White people also ended slavery. They were using slavery,
Abolition
but they also
England,
ended it. Yes, it was white people. It was white Christians, incidentally enough, who ended slavery. It wasn't Muslims. It wasn't Jews. It was white Christians who ended slavery, period. Yeah. Okay? So people always have a beef with Christianity for some reason. And I'm not a raving Bible thumper, but I also don't, you got to give credit where credit's due. And so they ended slavery, and then you had the process of you had the Democrats actually come out and create the first gun laws. The Democrats created the Ku Klux Klan, and they created gun laws to keep blacks from getting guns so they could defend themselves. So then they could still go around and subjugate them and treat them like crap.
Yeah, sure.
It was Republicans who were actually the ones who ended slavery, if you want to get real technical about it. But not that I'm a Republican either. But those were the people that really ended slavery and started changing things to where they are now. And see, and here's the thing. People don't understand nothing changes overnight. It takes a long time for any change to happen. Bad change and good change. And so in the 70s, even in the 60s, blacks were fed up with being treated as second-class citizens, and they were in some ways. There was segregation, but before the Democrats got involved with trying to end poverty, these were institutions that were done by Lyndon Johnson, who was the vice president when Kennedy got killed and he became president. Then he started the Vietnam War. He really ramped it up, which a lot of blacks were sent there because that was really the only employment they could find was to go be a soldier. But they were basically being cannon fodder for a war that the United States wasn't even interested in winning. So during also that time, they were doing this, well, we're going to have a war on poverty. So you guys live shacks out in the country. We want you to come into the cities. So we're going to pack you into the cities, and we're going to pack you into these big buildings, kind of what they're doing with the Muslims now in here in Germany. Yeah. And we're going to pack you into these buildings, and we're going to give you money. And if you get married, you don't get as much money. But if you have kids, you get money. You get more money. So it encouraged a lifestyle which was sedentary. It wasn't trying to elevate you. And it encouraged infidelity, essentially. Yeah. So then you see these problems crop up even worse in the 80s and 90s. And then in areas like in Los Angeles, they started, and these were programs run by the CIA, of bringing drugs into these communities. And so people they don't have a job, their life aspects are very bleak. So what do? They turn to selling drugs. So then you create these gang problems, and then those exacerbate. So out of all that, you had people who said, you know what, if we're going to be proud black people and change, we have to change the way we are. Okay, so what that started was the first Black Panther movement, which was we're going to arm ourselves, we're going to protect ourselves, and we're going to create our own communities. Because it's not about being separate, it's about, to them it was about being equal and having our own stuff. We're going to have our own stores, we're going to have our own bakeries, we're going to, work within our own communities. And so you had that, and then out of that you also had this Islam movement, because I guess some people saw that, hey, the Muslim faith has these certain life codes that if we live by them, we'll be a cleaner people, we'll be a more pure people. I don't know if that's true or not. I haven't really studied it, but that's what they think. And that's where the Nation of Islam came from. But I tell you what, you sit in a room with these guys, they're all wearing three-piece suits, they're all very well-mannered. They may hate my guts, but I couldn't tell if they did, because when I was having dinner with them and breaking bread with them, they're all very respectful to me.
Yeah, but that's like kind of like the problem I have with this guy, because like the interview with you was pretty good, obviously, but I mean he's just
and then he says different things
playing your games. I mean he's just saying what you want to hear. So I mean he's pretty cool, like with the black establishment, like he's with Beyonce and whatever. I mean I'm not really following this guy, but
he's never really come out, I don't think, and been like a big Black Lives Matter fan, or like saying what they're doing is good, at least when we were there. But I don't really follow a lot of what he says, and that's their own community. But when we were there, we were treated very nice and very respectful, and I'm not going to say anything bad about that aspect of it, but he has come out and said some things that I definitely don't agree with. But where he's coming from, I understand where he's coming from. He was a calypso singer in the 40s, very popular entertainer, and for some reason something in Islam spoke to him, and that's what he decided to devote his life to. And we asked him, actually during dinner he brought up the Malcolm X thing, because a lot of people thought he was responsible for Malcolm X's murder. And Farrakhan had something to do with it. And he said if I was, then I would have been sued, because people came out in the 90s with some information that it was other people that were involved with it, and so he's never been sued, he's never been brought up on charges. And he said that would have happened if these guys came out and said it was Farrakhan, because they had the information. But people didn't want to follow that. At least that's what he said. But every group is going to have its problems. No group is perfect. We're all fallible. We're all humans. Nobody is going to have the perfect system, except for maybe Ron Paul.
Yeah, that was a good guy. I mean, that's really,
still a good guy.
Really good segue, because I mean, Ron Paul, he was really the guy to follow compared to Trump, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Ron Paul 2012, I mean, I was so sad, because I was one of the few guys in Germany.
Right.
I mean, who else did it but me? Maybe like a couple hundred other people who followed this guy.
Yeah.
I was up at night watching the CNN debates, and I was like cheering him
and
on.
He kicked ass in every debate.
He kicked ass in the beginning,
and
then he started making this deal with Romney and started betraying like all.
You think he made a deal with Romney?
Yeah, I guess
I don't think he made a deal with Romney. I think they sideswiped him. They stole Iowa from him, and then they were able to marginalize him. The press they would show who won the debate, or they would show the results of one of these primaries. He would get third. They would show first, second, fourth, fifth, sixth. They wouldn't even show who got third place. They would just omit him from the press. It was amazing what they did to Ron Paul, because he also ran in 2008, and just watching what they did to him is exactly the same play they did with Bernie Sanders. Although Bernie Sanders has stayed in the race longer, and I think had it been like a two-person Republican race, you would have seen a lot more support for Ron Paul. But the way the Republicans do it is they dilute the field with so many people so they can pick their one man, which was Romney, and then before that McCain. Total losers, guys that are ineffectual, guys that have no vision for how the country should be run. And I'm sorry, what happened with Trump is that he came out, called these guys on all their bullshit, and he was able to stop what they were doing, because they tried to do it to him. They tried to marginalize him, and he just kept speaking his mind, which is this gruff New York kind of gangsterish tone, which, believe me, when he first started talking, I'm like, this guy's a fascist. He sounds like a fascist dictator. Yes. And I said, he may be, but you know what? He's going to be better than Hillary. At least he understands how money works. Hillary does not understand how money works. Hillary is a buffoon. Hillary has health problems. Hillary should be indicted for murder of several people, in my opinion.
Yeah, but that's not the InfoWars I know. I mean, I watched Alex Jones like exposing the left-right paradigm, like telling the fact that the obvious fact that of course the Republicans need to like say something that's more like capitalist. They can say I want to raise taxes. That's impossible for Republicans. So obviously Alex Jones said in like 2010 they lie. That's what they have to do. So while the Democrats, they can be honest, they can say, yeah, we will raise taxes, we are socialists, but the Republicans, they need to lie. So Alex Jones said this about Romney, about McCain. So, and he was always saying left-right paradigm, they both financed by the same banks, as Trump is too. I mean, his whole business is run by these banks. I mean, obviously, you can't open a business like this without the big banks, so he's in debt with the big banks always. Of course there's no way around in the system,
right? If you're going to be successful, which
sure.
He is, people want. He's financed 90% of his own campaign. He's come out and said that. He's and I'm not going to sit here and defend Trump all day. He's got plenty of flaws. He seems to. I think he's going to come after the press when he becomes president. Honestly, but you know what? I don't think he's going to come after alternative media. I think he's going to go after the mainstream media. But I think those people are total shills, and they need to be brought. Something needs to happen. There need to be consequences for lying to the American public. Okay, there need to be consequences for running open CIA propaganda schemes to the American public. There has to be consequences for that, and there are none right now. And that's what these people are doing. And I don't know if he's going to really do that. He may gloss over the issue, but he's the only fucking candidate that talked about the 28 pages. I didn't hear one goddamn candidate saying anything about the 9/11 28 pages until he came along. I didn't hear any of them. I haven't seen any of their tax plans or healthcare plans. At least he's put his stuff out on paper. His healthcare plan, while no healthcare plan is perfect, but because people aren't healthy to begin with because they eat shitty food and they don't exercise, but at least he came out and said we're going to have competition. The only way to make prices lower is to have competition. No one else has talked about that. His tax care plan's been reviewed by independent people, and they say everybody's going to get more take-home pay than what they're getting now.
Yeah,
that's going to stimulate more business. Now, he might be bad on a bunch of social issues. We'll see. I would rather see a President Trump fuck up the country for 4 years and then get out, which he said he's going to do. He said, I'm only going to do it for 4 years and I'm out. What other presidential candidates ever said that?
Yeah, okay, but...
And I'll end with this. The Republicans and the Democrats united against him in the beginning. Now the Republicans are getting behind him because he's the nominee. But they were tooth and nail against this guy during those initial debates. They hated him.
Funktioniert das noch, Jürgen? Aber du lädst es doch immer neu, oder? Aber das cool, yeah.
Are we still going?
Yeah, we're still going. So, yeah, but I saw really like the difference between Trump and Ron Paul because
there's tons of differences.
Ron Paul, you really saw how the media tried to ban him from the debates. They gave him always the least time to speak.
Crappy questions.
Yeah. There were people out front like holding up Ron Paul signs, like really cheering for him.
30,000 people at his rallies.
Yeah. And they totally ignored this.
He was the Bernie Sanders of the Republican Party.
I'm not watching this much, maybe. Yeah, I'm not sure. But I really saw this, like it was almost like Operation Mockingbird working there, because I saw this Anderson Cooper and these other CNN guys, and they tried to ignore this guy. It was so obvious. So when I see Trump now, I see it really going the other direction. He maybe gets mocked sometimes, or maybe like laughed at, but he's always in the middle of they want him.
Well, he gets a lot of press because of what he says, and what he says. No. He gets a lot of press for what he says, and what he says is pretty much always newsmaking. A lot of it is buffoonery, where he's calling people out, calling them names. Like he called an ABC reporter the other day a sleaze for not reporting on what the money he raised for veterans. The guy came out and in his opinion, blatantly lied. I don't even know what the reporter said, but he called the guy. He goes, like, this guy from ABC who's a total sleaze.
Yeah,
That's straight talk that I think people were missing from these frickin' politicians.
That's the
who just wanna
only
blow
thing.
Smoke up your ass.
That's the only thing. Like, he's like at least like an honest guy who's like speaks his mind. But
That's
when I
what the
watch the
country needs, man.
debates, the arrogance.
No, it's
and
totally arrogant.
And he embarrasses himself
It's when you
sometimes,
know-
even against.
When you know you're right, though, that's what it is.
No,
knows
no,
he's
no,
right.
no, no,
He
no.
knows he's right.
No, he's just arrogant. I mean, he's just full of. I mean, like, of success. He's like self-esteem, but way too much self-esteem. I don't even know how to talk.
No, I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. He is
and
very
even if
arrogant.
he gets caught on lies, he's like totally arrogant. He
doesn't
even care.
apologize.
He doesn't even care. And I mean, if you look at the program, I mean, you talked about the healthcare program of Trump. This is Ted Cruz had a more liberal, freedom-based healthcare problem than plan than Trump. So Trump said, "I'm a little bit different than the other Republicans. I want the health in the hand of the state." So he really said this, and this wasn't too long ago. This was maybe a year ago. So this is like really Obamacare, but he wants maybe to change Obamacare. So this is like really dangerous because he wants to spill even more money, and he doesn't want it to take it out of the hands of the state. He wants to go on with his own Trump care. So,
well, what his plan says is, I want he goes, I want people to be able to shop between states, because right now you're only limited. Like if I live in Texas, I can only buy a Texas healthcare plan. So by limiting me to just one set of businesses in Texas, it drives the prices up. But he's saying, I'm going to open it up where people can buy. I could buy the Tennessee plan. I could buy the Maine plan if I like it. And he also said, I'm going to allow people to buy prescription drugs from other countries, Canada and Mexico most notably, because their prescription drugs are a lot cheaper. And no other politicians had that in their plan. And there was a couple other things. There's 7 points to his plan. I don't know them all now. I looked at it a few months ago. But when I looked at it, it was leagues different than Obamacare. Obamacare was making people buy into the system, which is bad because it guarantees them. It's like buying car insurance. And when you have to buy car insurance, well, the car insurance guys win. So everybody's got to buy health care insurance. I, myself, am on a health sharing plan. Have you ever heard of health sharing? All right. The way it works is they use different terminology, but I get to opt out of Obamacare by doing this. I'm with a group called Samaritan Ministries. And so what I do, every month I pay, my money goes to a different person. So when you're in the plan and you go, they make you take care of your healthcare costs up front. So you put it on a credit card or something, and then you submit your receipts. Receipts are very important. You submit your receipts, and then they look at them and go, okay, you have to cover the first $300, and then everything else we'll put it out in our newsletter, and then the people in the plan send you money. So every month I'm writing a check for the same amount, but I send it to different people. And so by doing that, it creates a community that is dependent on each other, but also helps each other. And it cuts out a giant bureaucracy who's taking in money and figuring out codes and where stuff is going. So insurance companies are these giant warehouses of people crunching numbers to figure out how they can fuck you. Basically, that's what's going on. How they don't have to pay for what you've been paying for. So if I was to buy insurance for my family of 6, it was going to be $1,400 a month with a $5,000 deductible. So $1,400 times 12 plus 5,000. Then they start paying, and then they only pay 80%. So then I still have to cover another 20%. Okay, that's not healthcare. That's bullshit.
No.
That's scheisse. That's exactly what that is.
But you just opted out by just doing what a normal insurance is. I mean,
I'm basically doing what an insurance company does.
I mean,
but without the insurance company.
It's such an easy concept.
It's an easy concept.
If it was a really free market, it would be so easy.
And there's 3 companies like that in the United States that do this.
Yeah.
And people don't know about it, and I talk about it all the time. I pay $408 a month. for my entire family, and if any of us have any problems, we cover the first $300. Now they don't cover certain things, like they don't cover birth control and abortion and and vasectomies or whatever, anything kind of related to birth, because it's a Christian ministry company. So they want people to have kids.
Yeah.
But when I had my daughter, number 4, we paid $300 and another $1,200 for the epidural, because my wife didn't. My wife likes to get the epidural. You haven't had kids yet, have you?
Yeah, I don't even know the words.
Yeah, children, little Liebchens. Yeah,
that's words I never heard. I don't know. Maybe you use your German.
So having an epidural is a painkiller that goes into your spine.
Okay.
And it because having a child's very painful, and this takes away the pain. But they have to inject the drug into your spine, and but it costs money to do that, and they have to have a anesthesiologist come in and do it. But it costs money. They don't pay for that. We had to pay for it because it's elective. But I hurt my shoulder, and I went to a guy to massage it out. Spent $600 there. I paid the first $300. I got $300 back.
Yeah, sure.
So
mean,
for me, it works.
I mean, that's how it works.
lot.
I mean, this would sound like a fairy tale to someone in Germany if you say to somebody you can go to a doctor and just put money on the table and then you get fixed like a hairdresser or something like this.
Yeah.
In Germany, it's even worse. It's like you can even do things like this. I even heard of a story of a guy who tried to make like an insurance company for your health. That doesn't work because we have so much laws. It's so regulated. So everything is state run here. I mean, you're almost stupid if you don't go with the state run pharmacy and complex. I mean, and the state run insurances. So almost everyone.
Those are gauged to push pharmaceuticals on.